Forgot my necklace. We're good.
You're so warm.
Mm-hmm. Hi.
Hello again.
What video are we on now, baby?
This is video number 3. Welcome, everybody, to The Interconnection. And thank you so much for your support so far. All the views, comments, likes, and subscribers really help to make us grow, because without you guys, we couldn't do this at all. Well, we could, but nobody would listen, which would be hilarious. Because we do this on a regular basis, but, you know, actually record.
We should have recorded our conversation last night.
Yeah, we should have.
That was like a 3-hour parallel fast.
That's okay. We'll talk about that. We got lots of content. We ain't going on no dry spell.
No, those are not fun.
Yeah.
Why do we always go down that road? You went too far.
All right, we're gonna try and keep this a little bit shorter than the last one. I'm gonna aim for that 10 to 15 minute mark. We'll see.
Harry, you want me to put a timer on?
No, it's okay. We're good. I'm already counting.
And this.
You count in the head. Today's topic's going to consist of a loose discussion, I guess, about
Loose is your goose. Sorry. There's a song they used to sing in volleyball. Sorry, I kicked you out. How loose is your goose? How... Never mind. Oh, okay. Oh, I lost so much I slobbered a little bit there. Okay, back to you were doing really well and I interrupted.
Yeah.
Loose?
Discussion
Oh yeah?
about
This is your idea.
how to navigate through, more so for couples anyway, different energy levels when one partner is low and going through some shit while the other partner is on a high, or even just neutral in general.
Mm-hmm.
This has happened to me and Celine since we've been dating, for the most part. But we'll talk about the more deep version of this in another video, because I just want to cover a little bit.
Why aren't we diving deep yet? Because it's like intro.
No, like what we were talking about last night, but we can't get there until we discuss.
Yeah, you're right.
You know?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
There's levels.
Levels.
Level 1. You want to start? Or do you want me to start?
You're on a fly here. Keep going.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. I'll create the space for us.
So real life example. Maybe like what, a month ago? Probably about a month ago, maybe 5. Well, it's probably about I'd say it's about 3 solid weeks, but there was 2 weeks there where I wasn't really even taking my medication on a regular basis, because I was taking Cipralex. I don't know if any of you have been on that, but that shit sucks. It works to a degree, but you get kind of numbed out after a while. And so I decided to just get off it, which I should pace myself off of it, because it's a big crash if you just go cold turkey, but it's all up here, so we'll see what happens. So it's been about 3 solid weeks, I would say, almost about 4 weeks of no medication, and I think just the last couple of days I'm finally starting to move out of the ditch. But it's definitely put, I wouldn't say a strain, just a little bit of a test, just like a lot of other things are in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wasn't my normal self. I wasn't as engaging. I wasn't compassionate. I wasn't a good listener. I was a lot more angry, like just everything, every bad quality to the extreme, and then just not myself. Didn't feel like myself anyway. So yeah, it's been tough. So the good thing about a lot of that is that I now feel comfortable getting off of that medication because of my support structure and because of Celine being who Celine is. If any of you have worked with her, you know. If you know, you know. If you don't know, well, you should know. And yeah, so that was pretty much the reason why I decided to get off of it, because I want to feel and navigate through my own feelings and find better ways to manage that. And one thing that I wasn't doing was exercising at the gym. And yeah, anyway, you can jump in now because I feel like you have something to say.
No, that's okay. I was taking in everything in. First I was taking in how open you were. I didn't think you were going to jump right into that. And then the compliments, I'm learning how to let all of that goodness in. I'm proud of you, by the way.
Thank you.
I said that before, but never on camera. Really proud of you. I didn't know he got off of it. He was just like, he was weaning off of it organically, let's say. But I knew intuitively that like something was up, that he was working through something. And on my perspective, on my side of things, when your partner is going through, and you were like this for me too when I went through my stuff, my shit. You took the lead on that, by the way, and thank you. At the beginning of the relationship, you were the safe place for me to go through my shit.
Yeah, I guess that's just the stage we're at, where the first bit of the relationship, I was the foundation and rock and structure more so, and then Celine was able to heal because of that safety net that your partner should provide. And
sometimes you don't know how to provide though, right?
Yeah, well that's a whole other
video,
whole other thing we can talk about. Because we don't want to, like, we could sit here for hours and just discuss all this stuff, but we honestly kind of want to make a regular schedule of content for you so that you have something to keep up to and watch.
Yeah.
But getting back to the topic, so now that Celine is healed and done a lot from that, and we've kind of moved through a lot of these blocks in our relationship, I figured it was time that I started doing some more inner work, because I really needed to. I was holding off for a long time, so that kind of is the reasoning as to what led me into that. So you can continue.
Thank you. So from my side of things, when your partner's going through some changes, some shifts, maybe they're dealing with triggers, or maybe they're facing their trauma, you don't know, right, unless you communicate. So I think there's two components to this. There is an intuitive component where you know something's up, but then the communication piece is very important, but how and when we communicate, I find, is the biggest piece that either falls into place or that blows the shit out of it. And I'll give you an example. As women, actually, me and Nadine were talking about this at our lunch on Wednesday. Not us, but like just in general. And not to stereotype men or anything like that, but what we were noticing is that women, when we go through our triggers, we like to communicate. Sometimes I do shut down. But most of the time we like to communicate and discuss things. As for males, or male people that are in their male energy more, tend to want to deal with it themselves, tend to kind of go more introverted. And that's what was happening, is that you were needing some space, needing some time. I knew something was up and I wanted to help, right? But I was coming from a helping of like wanting to fix and wanting to change him. So from that space, the more I've kind of allowed him to be and to trust that he's a big boy and he can figure it out for himself, that's something I had to make sure that I let go of. And the more I created that space for him and not attached myself to the issue. Does that make sense? Because sometimes we think it's about us, but as long as we have an open communication about you're just moving through some stuff that has nothing to do with me, and that he just needs space, I had to learn to honor that in you. And the more that I did, the more that you were able to turn around and come to me when you needed to talk, instead of me trying to force it out of you. And that's a pattern I've learned in myself. So just if you're in a relationship, maybe you can see your own patterns through us speaking about our own experience. But that's the best way that I can explain, is that I would push you further away when I would try to force the conversation out of you instead of just letting you be. But the most important part about all of that is once you let your partner be in their own space so that they can face their own shit, the best thing you could do is do whatever it is for you, not to sink down to their level. And that's something I think that takes time to work on.
Yeah, that's the hard part about it.
Yeah.
The analogy that we talked about like a couple months ago, I think, was that it's like one person is a boat above water and the other one's an anchor. And the anchor is the one that's holding the boat in place, but if it gets too heavy, it's just going to start pulling everything down, right? So staying above water as the person who isn't going through that maybe at the same time. And if you are and you're both through that, then communication is even more important, right? If you're both really low and trying to figure some things out, communicating to your partner that if you're doing inner work and you understand that there's some things going on that you can change within you, that's not your partner's fault. So they don't have to take responsibility for that. And you're not angry or upset at them. And that you're also working through things. And sometimes, like in my situation, I would get very short and irritated with how much Celine wanted to help, where I just wanted space. So the more she came in, the more I pushed away and the more I got angry. And it would take me, a day or more to actually feel better about something, and then for us to even be able to talk, which doesn't seem like a long time, but when you're in a space that's very thick with negative energy, it feels like eternity. Go ahead.
And the importance to sit with that anger, because a lot of us, there's a time and place to feel it, and I talk about this in my other inner beauty videos, and we're not going to talk about it today. But I just want to point out, when you're strong enough and you're in a safe, first you got to be in a safe environment, and then strong enough to face and sit with the pain or the anger or whatever it is that you feel, that's actually an essential part of healing, right? When you're ready.
Well, that's what I was doing, is just reevaluating my response, because I was going, as the saying goes, you just go red and you don't see any of the actions that you're doing. You don't think about anything logically. It's just all emotional. Emotionally
Triggers?
run. Yeah. Like you're just going off. You're not actually like thinking about the situation. You're just going purely off. Like if you're angry, you're angry.
Yeah, like reaction.
Yeah.
Reactive state, ego. Yeah.
And so to give you an example, where it would take a day or two for me to actually feel better about that, to actually come back to her to have a conversation about it. And even then, they were still rocky conversations. Just in the last couple times that's happened, and she's decided not to, let's say, suffocate the situation in that sense or anything, and give me my space. It's been, I don't know, like 45 minutes, and I came back and gave you a big hug and apologized, and it was like, on her end, it was like nothing ever happened. It was like, don't worry about it. Like, you're going through some stuff. It's fine. And it was good to see that, because as the person that's going through the shit and you're negative, I think a big thing that a lot of people get worried about is how they affect other people around them too.
Yeah,
and that really bothers me, is if my energy is low and I bring her down, because I feel like I've just ruined her entire day, and I don't want to affect my partner in that way as much as possible. Obviously that might happen from time to time, but and that's why communication is such a huge component of any relationship. If you can talk through some things and come to a mutual understanding about each other, what you're going through, what you need, like, just be open and honest. If you need more touch, ask for more touch. If you need space, ask for space. And as the other person, to be able to give and receive those things without feeling like it's a personal attack.
I had to touch you in that moment. Oh, baby, you're so wise. You're so wise.
It's the beard.
It is the beard.
It grows so long every week.
Nothing to do with life experience. Just grow a beard and you become this wise.
Gandalf the White.
Yeah. I don't even know what to add to that. That was beautiful, babe.
Well, let's...
One thing, can we give him a tool maybe?
Yeah, for
A
sure.
tool, just, I always like to end with a tool so that, like, it's not just like, I think we added a lot of value, but maybe a tool for the person that's going through the trigger, right? So in this case would be you. And then the tool for the person who's on the other side of it.
So in my advice, I would probably say that if you are the individual that is feeling really low, and this could be just one day, 1 week, one time, it doesn't really matter. But if you are the one that's feeling low and you notice that, take a few minutes to yourself and understand where that's coming from, and kind of just sitting with it for a few moments, and then discussing that with your partner and saying, like, I am not having a good day, I don't feel like myself today. And that should hopefully let your partner know and understand that something's off, and that they might either want to spend or give you additional attention or not. That's all going to depend on how you communicate what you need. But starting that off with telling your partner first off just sets the day in a totally different way, because they know that they're going to, that something's going on, and they're going to support you with whatever support you hopefully are asking for.
And that ties into what I want to say is, as the person knowing that your partner's going through something difficult or is feeling off, number one again would be communication. Just be like, hey, I feel like you're off today. Is everything okay? And sometimes they'll just be like, yeah, it's fine, but energetically that it's not. Then in that space, however it is that they answer, the most important question I think from my own experience would be, what is it that you need from me right now?
Yeah.
And I think what happens is there's been a big shift in myself, whereas before I would make it all about me, right? So we would get triggered by the person who's triggered already. So I think we need to dive into that specific thing in another video, because that's like a whole new video. But understanding offering that communication piece to them, and then sometimes they won't even know what they need. So this is where you're navigating through this as a team. You're figuring each other out, knowing what works and what doesn't. So there's going to be a lot of trial and errors, right?
It's like anything else in life. You have to practice it to get better at it, right? If you make an effort on both sides to be open and to be able to receive, then hopefully you'll be able to navigate through this efficiently in that sense, and it doesn't take as long as you don't want it to.
Exactly. And I mean, if you do get triggered from the person, from your partner being triggered, right, or is going through some stuff, then you can even do the deeper work and ask yourself what it is in you that's being triggered by this situation. So as much as your partner's doing the inner work, you're doing the inner work. And this is what we talk about being two independent people doing their own inner work, but creating a safe place and communication and synergy so that we can evolve together as a couple. And I think that's the difference between codependency and simply just growing together as a team, right? Because codependency is asking your partner to do all the work for you, right? Whereas you have to take certain ownership of your shit, and that's hard to do. But once you do take ownership, and your partner takes ownership, and together you deal with that individually and as a team through what we've just discussed, that's when you go deeper and you really thrive, I find, as a couple and individually. Right? Do you have anything else to add, my love?
No. Thank you for tuning in to episode 3.
Yay!
Of the Interconnection.
I didn't choke on my water today.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I was hoping that we could make a streak. 2 videos in. If you haven't seen the last one, you definitely should go back and check, because it's the funniest one. She spits water all over my leg.
Yeah, and you talk about
we'll cut this out. Just kidding. Have a good day, guys. Take care. We love you. Remember to comment, subscribe, like, all that stuff. Everything's great. You can message our discussion board that's on YouTube. We will respond. We're always active on that shit. So have a fun-filled day, and we'll see you next week.
A plafon-filled day?
A flufflon-filled day.
Is that a word?
It is now. See ya.
Bye. I love you. Hey. Oh, you're gonna go in for more there.